The weather seems kind of nice today, although when I'm charging my phone at times, I'm getting that warning where it's getting too hot for the phone. I guess it's that time of the year too, huh? With that in mind, what did I read today? How about this first one, where this video was going viral? It was released by the US Department of Defense, I believe, so an official source. And it was a video of them talking about how they're changing drone policies in the US in order to ramp up production and become a leader in the space per se over other places like China. But the video itself is generating controversy just because of the way it's presented. I guess it's kind of over the top in some ways anyways.
You know what? We know why we were put here. We were brought here to rebuild the military, match capabilities to the threats of today. So while our adversaries have produced millions of cheap drones, before us, we were mired in bureaucratic red tape. Not anymore. In June, President Trump issued an executive order unleashing American drone dominance to bolster our drone industry and arm our warfighters, because that's what we're all about. So today, I'm rescinding restrictive policies that stifle production, and this will unleash American manufacturing and the ingenuity of our warfighters by doing three key things. First, we're going to bolster the U.S. drone manufacturing base by producing thousands of American-made products, prioritizing Buy American. We'll arm combat units with a variety of low-cost, American-crafted drones, leveraging our world-leading engineers and AI experts. And third, we're going to train as we expect to fight. Senior officers, well, I'll grab this because it's the memo. Senior officers must overcome bureaucratic risk aversion in budgeting, weaponeering, and training. So here's the memo we're signing today, delivered via drones. Here on the front lawn of the Pentagon, with some of our great warfighters flying them. This is the future. We're in the fight. We're in the fight to win it. I'm never going to back down.
So the presentation was being done by a person named Pete Hegseth, and again, it's to highlight how they're changing drone policies in order to establish UAS domain dominance, I guess according to the person, by 2027. So how are they doing this? It just sounds like it's some rewording of the rules. For example, it talks about bureaucratic barriers, and they rescinded restrictive Biden-era policies and reclassified small drones, Group 1 and 2, as, quote, consumables rather than durable assets, treating them like munitions to streamline acquisition. And this shift allows lower-level commanders, such as colonels and captains, to independently procure and test drones, including 3D printed ones, enhancing flexibility and speed. And as well, it says the Pentagon is prioritizing US-made drones. It seemed like the person was kind of struggling to read a teleprompter or something like that. Anyways, you can see it looks like he's trying to find the lines. I think the only thing I would think that's weird in this scenario overall is how a lot of people, they fear-monger drones and so forth. Too close to people and all that. And imagine this, there's drones flying around all over the place on this guy. No prop guards, for example, and a lot of this stuff. But overall, do you think the US has a chance to, let's just say, overtake places like China in terms of things like drones? Because in general, most people do use Chinese-made drones, for example, made by companies like DJI. Now, whether or not the US can catch up in that regards and make something that's just as good at an affordable price, who knows? And that's yet to be seen, although I wouldn't doubt in the US itself, probably more people would actually buy it if all those rules and tariffs, for example, all take place when it comes to drone tech. And how about this one? More news of people using drones in a bad way, and this one was teens apparently. This says, teens arrested over prison drone smuggling attempt. 4 teenagers have been arrested on suspicion of attempting to smuggle contraband using a drone into a prison. A package was seized early on Friday after West Mercia police said they had reports of a drone circling HMP Long Lartin in southern Littleton near Evesham before 2 BST. Officers followed a vehicle they spotted and stopped it on the A46 in Alcester. A drone, mobile phones, suspected drugs and drug equipment were found inside the vehicle, a force spokesperson said. Based on this and the other news that you heard over the past couple of days, I guess there's no discrimination. It's anyone and any type of person that could use it in a bad way in general, which is expected. And kind of with that thought in terms of, let's just say, will the US capture drone dominance? Will people buy their equipment and so forth? Well, apparently here, the news was going around everywhere where the US is going to implement a 35% tariff on Canadian imports, apparently. So from what I gather, it says President Donald Trump announced a 35% tariff on Canadian imports to the US starting, I guess, August the 1st, 2025, which escalates a previous 25% tariff on non-USMCA compliant goods. The tariff apparently targets goods not covered by the US-Mexico-Canada agreement, with exceptions for energy, fertilizer, and USMCA compliant products. And apparently the US president cited Canada's alleged failure to curb fentanyl smuggling and its trade barrier, like high dairy tariffs, as justifications, though US data shows only 0.2% of fentanyl seizures occurred at the Canadian border. So whether or not that's true, I don't really know, but that was the constant talking point, where it was because, I guess here, they're saying the government wasn't doing enough to control drug cartels and all that. But this actually factors in, I think anyways, on whether or not other countries would actually purchase things like US-made drones and so forth. Because funny enough, I know in the US, they talk about how there's low supply. They're getting more expensive for some products like DJI ones, but like here in Canada, just as an example, I mean, during this week, there's even these sales for the DJI Neo drone, and it's 196 Canadian for the drone. That's pretty cheap, actually. I guess we'll have to wait and see how all this plays out, especially with all the geopolitical stuff. Okay.
Are you the
On the grandson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he goes down for activities.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but check him out there.
Oh, Adam!
Yeah.
How you doing, Adam?
Good, you? All right, see you guys later.